It may not begin with a soldier pulling a trigger. It may begin with a machine noticing a pattern. A camera sees movement. An algorithm labels it suspicious. A drone changes course. A targeting system moves a name higher on a list. A commander receives a recommendation faster than any human staff could prepare it. And by the time anyone asks whether the machine was right, the strike may already be on its way. That is why artificial intelligence matters so much to future conflict. Because AI is not only about robots replacing humans on the battlefield. It is about speeding up decisions, filtering information, identifying targets, guiding drones, shaping logistics, assisting cyber operations, and compressing the time between detection and destruction. The International Committee of the Red Cross says AI-based decision support systems are now fully integrated into contemporary armed conflicts, especially in planning, targeting, and evaluating attacks, including in urban warfare where civilian infrastructure is deeply interconnected. So, can artificial intelligence impact future conflicts? Yes, deeply, and in some places, it already is. The real question is not whether AI will matter. That part is settled. The real question is how much it will change war, and whether it will make conflict more precise, more frequent, more scalable, more deniable, and potentially more dangerous. Reuters reported in March 2026 that the Pentagon is moving to lock Palantir's Maven Smart system in as an official program of record, describing AI-enabled decision-making as the cornerstone of U.S. military strategy. Maven analyzes battlefield data and helps identify targets for strikes. That is not a futuristic theory. That is a major military power building AI into the center of how it intends to fight. And once that happens, war begins to change in ways that are both obvious and subtle. The obvious change is speed. Modern battlefields produce overwhelming amounts of data: drone video, satellite imagery, radio signals, geolocation trails, logistics feeds, thermal signatures, social media clues, and open-source surveillance. Humans alone cannot process all of it fast enough. AI can. It can triage, sort, prioritize, and flag. That means commanders can see more, act faster, and shorten the so-called kill chain, the sequence from sensing a threat to striking it. Because the faster a military makes decisions, the less time there is for doubt, restraint, correction, and human hesitation. And in war, hesitation is sometimes what prevents catastrophe. If AI systems are treated not as tools, but as authoritative answers, militaries may begin acting on recommendations they do not fully understand. In other words, the danger is not only that AI gets something wrong, it is that humans may trust it too quickly when the cost of error is measured in lives. And there is another reason AI could shape future conflicts so powerfully: mass. Traditional military power was once limited by expensive platforms, tanks, fighter jets, warships, and long training pipelines. AI changes that by multiplying cheaper systems, especially drones. Reuters reported in February 2026 that thousands of precision drones, many costing only several $100s apiece, now roam the skies daily over the 1,200-kilometer Ukraine front, making almost any movement on the battlefield far. Instead of a few exquisite weapons, you may see swarms. Instead of a pilot, you may see assisted autonomy. Instead of a general studying one map, you may see systems ingesting thousands of live feeds. Instead of a front line, you may see layers of sensors and machines hunting each other continuously across land, sea, air, cyber, and space. Reuters reported in late March 2026 that China had stationed more than 200 obsolete J-6 fighters converted into attack drones at bases near the Taiwan Strait, according to a new study. That does not mean a war is coming tomorrow, but it does show how AI and autonomy are changing cost calculations. If aging aircraft can be repurposed into unmanned strike assets, then future wars may be fought not only with better weapons, but with far more expendable ones. And this changes the politics of war as much as the tactics. One of the least discussed effects of AI-enabled conflict is that it may lower the perceived cost of using force. If a government can send machines instead of soldiers, it may face less domestic backlash. If it can strike through swarms, cyber-enabled targeting, autonomous boats, or AI-assisted drone fleets, it may be tempted to take risks that once felt too costly. Reuters reported on March 26 that the United States had deployed uncrewed drone boats in active combat against Iran, a first for such vessels in conflict. These systems were used mainly for surveillance, but they can also be used in kamikaze-style strikes. The significance is larger than the platform itself. Autonomy is moving from lab and test range into live military operations. But AI will not only affect how wars are fought, it may affect how wars start. Because AI can make military postures more aggressive even before combat begins. Better surveillance means better tracking. Better prediction means stronger temptation for preemption. Faster target recognition means commanders may fear waiting too long. In a crisis between nuclear-armed or heavily armed rivals, that compression of time could be extremely dangerous. SIPRI's 2024 background paper on bias in military AI notes that these systems can misidentify people and objects in targeting decisions and reflect or exacerbate harmful biases depending on how data is collected, processed, and used. If future conflicts are shaped by AI systems trained on incomplete, distorted, or biased data, the risks will not remain technical. They will become strategic. And this is where the conversation gets darker. Because people often imagine military AI as cold, precise, and objective. But AI systems are built by humans, trained on human-labeled data, deployed in human institutions, and used under human pressure. SIPRI emphasizes that bias in military AI can emerge from society, from data processing and algorithm development, and from the way systems are actually used in operations. That means AI can inherit the same bad assumptions humans already bring into war, only now those assumptions can be scaled, automated, and repeated at machine speed. There is also the problem of accountability. If a human commander makes a terrible decision, responsibility at least has a shape. But what happens when a strike emerges from a chain of machine-generated recommendations, fused data, opaque software, contractor-built systems, and rushed human approval? Responsibility does not disappear, but it becomes easier to blur. That is one reason the United Nations Secretary-General has repeatedly called lethal autonomous weapons politically unacceptable and morally repugnant, saying there is no place in the world for systems that take human lives without human oversight, and that life or death decisions must not be delegated to machines. And that warning is not abstract. The United Nations system and many humanitarian organizations are concerned not only about fully autonomous weapons, but about the broader use of AI in military decision-making. Once military AI tools become cheaper, more modular, and commercially available in pieces, chips, vision models, navigation software, drone frames, open source code, the barrier to entry falls. States are not the only actors who can benefit. Armed groups, proxies, and non-state networks can also adapt civilian AI tools for surveillance, propaganda, navigation, spoofing, and attack support. That is part of why autonomous weapons debates at the UN increasingly focus on proliferation, miscalculation, unauthorized recipients, and the risk of escalation. The concern is not just one killer robot. It is a wider ecosystem of scalable machine-assisted violence. At the same time, it would be too simple to say AI only makes war worse. Militaries argue that AI can also improve precision, reduce friendly casualties, strengthen logistics, and help commanders better understand the likely civilian impact of operations. Decision support tools can model infrastructure interdependence, estimate blast effects, and flag risks humans may miss in complex urban settings. The ICRC acknowledges that such systems are presented as tools capable of grasping the growing complexity of armed conflict environments. So the future is not a cartoon of mindless robots versus helpless humans. The reality is harder. AI may improve some judgments while degrading others, increase precision in some cases while increasing the scale and tempo of violence overall. And that may be the most important point of all. AI does not have to become super intelligent to transform war. It only has to become useful. Useful enough to speed up targeting. Useful enough to guide drones through jamming. Useful enough to identify patterns across satellite and drone imagery. Useful enough to help armies operate with fewer people and more machines. Useful enough that every major military feels it cannot afford to fall behind. That is how arms races begin. Not because everyone believes the technology is perfect, but because everyone fears the other side may gain an advantage first. They are building, testing, integrating, and deploying now. So, can artificial intelligence impact future conflicts? Yes, by making war faster, cheaper in some ways, more automated, more persistent, and potentially more deniable. Yes, by shifting advantage toward those who can process information and produce autonomous or semi-autonomous systems at scale. Yes, by turning civilian infrastructure, software, and sensor networks into part of the battle space. Yes, by increasing the temptation to trust algorithms under pressure. Artificial intelligence will not replace the human causes of war, fear, ambition, revenge, deterrence, ideology, and power. But it can amplify all of them. It can make leaders see more, strike faster, risk more, and sometimes understand less than they think they do. That is the real danger. The future of conflict may not belong to the side with the most soldiers or the biggest bombs. It may belong to the side that can connect sensors, software, drones, data, and decisions faster than anyone else. But if the world allows that race to run ahead without meaningful limits, then AI may not just change how wars are fought. It may change how easily they begin.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Crisis Lab for more modern survival intelligence.